As I continue to work on this crawler final drive, what I realized is in here there is no seal. There's a sleeve, there's not a differential, but a shaft, a pinion with a crown gear. A crawler doesn't need a differential because we want all the tracks to go drive all the time, and when we want to turn, we stop one from turning by disengaging a separate clutch that's in here, which is actually on the final drive right there, which I'm going to have to take apart because it's all oily, and to see if there's any damage done to the friction plates. At the very least I have to clean them, and then the band brake, which is sitting here, it's soaked in oil, so I've got to deal with that. The only thing I can think of is that possibly when I was using this crawler at my son's place, I went up a rather steep grade, and a crawler will want to climb up a wall, and possibly what's happened here is that all the oil that was in here at the lower level where the fill plug is, I think it's down on this side. Anyways, maybe what happened was because the crawler was basically standing on end, the oil came, and it could have been on a bit of an angle, and it came up to the center and came back in onto the final drive. So I'm going to give this a good cleaning. I'm going to clean all these parts and see what's going on in this clutch stack, and if I have to order some plates, well, then I'll just have to do that. I've got this cleaned out now, but as now I start to remember, you can see the pitting that was in here. And these final drives, when I took them apart, they had water in the bottom of them and it was rusted. And the steering clutches were totally locked up. One of the things is there's vents. There's a cap here, but way at the back here, you can see there's like a vent. And depending where it was parked, and I have a funny feeling the machine was outside for a long time and maybe parked on the edge of a lean-to, and the water was running over. One side was worse than the other, I remember that. But one side had water in it, and it's evident that this side at one time did, just because of the pitting in the cast. Of course, I sandblasted it all to clean it up and primed it and painted it and whatever. But anyways, just give you an idea of what happens when nobody maintains these things, and it just becomes difficult to take apart and expensive to repair. This is part of the throwout assembly for the steering clutch. That's the throwout bearing on this side, and what they have here are some balls which have inserts tapered, and they call this a cam. So when the lever actuates, what it does is it tries to climb out of the cones that are here and on the other side, and that gives the thrust towards the throwout bearing to disengage the steering clutch. I've got all the mechanism for the throwout and the band brake actuator up in here all put back together. It's all been cleaned out, cotter pins are in, springs are on, that's all done. So it looks good. Now on this side here, I have removed the stack and the of the clutch, and of course you can see where the oil is dripping down. And over here are the clutch discs, and you can see they're just covered in oil and garbage. So that's why they're slipping. They're supposed to be dry, but it's like having a thin film of grease between all the fixed plates and the clutch plates, the fiber discs. So I'm going to have to clean that up, but that's a job for tomorrow. So we'll be back at it. These are the clutch plates and friction discs. It's a multi-surface or multi-plate clutch. 3 of these spec'd out that there were 30 thou under. 3 are within, but reading the manual, they're suggesting not to clean them or get anything on them because they tend to glaze very quickly and they lose their friction, which, well, I know that with the amount of oil that I took off of them. The metal discs, there's 2 different styles here. These ones here I made 25 years ago out of stainless steel with a rotary table in my milling machine. They look pretty good. And for some reason, though, I don't understand why, but they were actually a little bit narrower with the face, but yet until this problem came up, they were okay. And these ones here are stock ones, and again, they're a little bit pitted and rusted. They're probably the best ones that I could salvage out of the lot from the two drives. However, if I remember vaguely, back then, the price from John Deere to buy this stuff was just so ridiculous, is why I ended up making these on my milling machine with an indexing head on the rotary table, because it was cheaper, plus the fact that I knew that they would never rust or get stuck together, and I didn't know how problematic it would be or not. So right now I'm looking at some new ones coming out of the States, $229 plus shipping. Canadian, by the time shipping, a little bit of tax, that would be $400. But if I can get them here without having to go through DHL, Purolator, UPS, or FedEx, the problem is that they just put horrendous fees for brokerage on it, plus handling fees, and literally, I would say it adds 70% onto the price of whatever I'm purchasing. So I always ask if they can ship U.S. postal. The reason being for that is that when it gets to the border, I just pay the tax on it and a $10 handling fee. And our sales tax, even though it's 13%, is way less than what these other couriers will do to me. So I might have to wait for some parts on that. We've got to get them ordered, and I'll go on to some other stuff in the meantime. Part of this project was, of course, to take the tracks apart, and as you can see, this is where the track link is, and what I had on it is this pin and bushings. I had made up a boring jig to bore those out 25 or 26 years ago, and made that pin and put it in there. Now you can see it's worn, so I'm not sure how hard it was. I don't know if it was a 1045 or maybe a 1020 carbon steel. I've got some 1045, and I'm going to try making some brass bushings this time and put that in there. And seeing that this side's this way, and I've already got the crawler lined up to remove it on this side as well, I probably will break the track and do a repair on there, see what condition they are. If one's that way, I'm sure the other's that way, so I'll deal with it accordingly. I've got the two brass bushings made up. I'm going to try brass this time, and I've got to make this pin. Now I'm not sure what alloy I used on that one, but this one here I'm going to, this is 1045, so I've got a length of that. Got that from Metal Supermarket, 16 inches long. It was $10. You know, some messing around, but I'm sure if I tried to buy this pin at John Deere, they would want like, you know, $100. While I have this side apart, I decided to just take a look at the undercarriage and the rollers. And what I had done 26 years ago was I had welded a wear surface onto these rollers. And you can see it's got a little bit of give in here, a little more right now because I'm doing an adjustment. But and I was surprised, and I thought, well, geez, it doesn't look like much, and only here to realize that here's what's left of that wear surface, only on one roller. It was a piece of stainless steel and welded on with hexagon, like a 316 or 312 stainless rod, and that was to help build up for the wear on the rollers and the amount of height that got taken away on the rails. When I did put this together, I machined all of these cones and bearings, and then what I did was on each side I put a washer over here, so that at a later date, which is now, I could take out that spacer after the roller sat in and take out some of the slop. So that's part of the project that I'm doing. I've got the pin on the rough stock turned, I've got to cut it and trim it, but and then I'm going to make sure it fits okay, but it's all part of the process. Just set up here to pull these brass bushings in. It's nothing too crazy. A slug with a shoulder on it to the inside diameter, a couple of nuts and a flat plate, and I will bring these in. Well, managed to get that in, but I'll tell you, near the end there I had to stand on the wrenches and stand on the track to be able to do it, but it's in there. So currently what I'm doing is machining a flat on two sides of the pin. We don't want the pin to rotate because it adds to the wear, although you can see from the used pin how much wear happens on one side, but it's apparent it did not rotate. And that's both sides of the pin, so it doesn't rotate in the notches on the track link. Well, I've got this pin fitted with the bushings, and on the other end I've also fitted it as well. Have to do a little bit of reduction, but by a couple of thousandths of an inch, but apart from that we should be good. I'm now working on the right hand side of the crawler, and I have had no success in trying to get this pin out. I managed to roll the tracks to the front because I can work here. It's a little easier to get at, but regardless, I am still stuck, and I've tried heating it. I've drilled a hole through it and tried heating it from the inside with an acetylene torch, and still nothing. I can't even get it to budge. So my solution here now is I'm going to, I've started drilling it out. I've drilled a hole through it so far, a pilot as you can see, and the pin diameter is around 993, and a 7/8 drill is 875. 875, does that work out? Yeah. So actually not 993, it's 893. So eventually I should be able to keep working the drills up and be able to break this track apart and make a new pin. And I think on the other side I've got it a force fit. I think what I'm going to do is cut a shoulder in it for the center, bring it down a little bit. I think I'm at 996. I think I'll bring it down to 990 or 993. So if there is any rusting, if I need to take it out again, I can do it at that time. After messing around with this probably for the better part of a day, drilling it and heating it and all kinds of stuff, I finally came to the conclusion that I had to drill the head off of this side and be able to pound it out from the outside in. That's just the way this track design is. Both tracks are identical, and the keeper that stops the rotation of the pin is always on the right hand side when you're sitting on the tractor. So on the left hand track it's easy, you pound from the inside out, but from the other track you have to pound from the inside out. The other one is the outside in. So you can see here I did drill the pin, and I managed to get all the way through it, and I was getting into some difficulty, and that's because it didn't stay square. When I'm just using a hand drill. Ideally a mag drill and welding a couple of pieces of flat on here to make it work would have been the solution, but I finally got it out. Now I can deal with this because you can't go forward until you get it apart. I was beating on that master link pin so hard that it actually caused the bushing inside the track links to shift, and I've got to get that back. Now they normally say you need 20 ton to get it to where it has to be, but I'm going to see about getting a piece of threaded rod, and I'm going to have to make up a spacer so I don't bring these two together while I'm trying to bring it through it and cause it to bind even more. So that's how stuck that pin was in there. This is how I relocated that pin. I put a 2-inch block of steel that I had laying around, plus a 50 piece of sheet metal because it was 2-inch 50 thou, and I turned a button and bored a hole through it, and that's a 5/8 threaded rod that I greased the threads up on the working end. And it groaned, it creaked, it made a little bit of noise, but standing on it seemed to provide enough torque to be able to move the bushing back into its proper location. That's just a shot of what I used to relocate that bushing. I guess if I really wanted to, if I had to change that one, I could do it by hand with this threaded rod and this setup. But I'm just going to live with what we got. The bushing seemed to be okay. Well, I started looking again at these rollers, and this one has been built up, and you can actually see the wear surface that I've added onto it. Looks like some of the weld may have cracked, but this side is on it. This roller here was thick enough, and so was this roller here, but this one here, you can see where the wear surface has broken off, and it's just this one piece. And originally I thought, oh my God, they all came apart. Why am I not seeing these things falling on the ground as I'm driving? But it was only that one side. This one here, again, I can see the wear surface way down in here that's been put on, and it's still holding. This one was never done. That's still stock. And the same thing with this roller here. It wasn't done. So it's only that one side is, for some reason, it's let go. Maybe it was cupped, and the pressure of the roller hitting the rail on the track caused it to work and flex and cause it to give it up. But you can see that one in there. Although it does look like the weld is cracked all the way around, but it hasn't cracked up in here, which is what was holding it at one side. So just that one roller looks bad now to me, that has had that problem with the wear surface. And the other rollers here, the idler, it's good. Nothing wrong with that. And again, I built those up. I made new wear surfaces and put these guides on it as well. Still at this, I've managed to get the right side track on the crawler, and I do have a new pin in here somewhere. Where the heck was it? Oh, it's all the way up to the front, right over here. And the back side with the cotter pin in it is over there. So, and I've tensioned the tracks a bit. I've got them close, but they're not weighted, although you can see they're pretty tight across the bottom. So I'm going to leave it like that for now, and wait until I get the other side built. I got notice today that the post office has got my my clutch pack, so I'm going to take the existing ones and stack them and use a vernier on them and measure them against a new one to see what the difference is. With those two fibers being 30 thou less, that's 90 thou of compression on the steering clutch that wouldn't be there. Plus they got oil contamination, so all of that would be a problem and the reason why it was slipping. Well, the parts for the clutch, the left-hand clutch, have come in. I'm going to unpack them. They're from General Gear and Machine in Boise, Idaho. And we'll see. What I'm going to do is stack these up and measure the total thickness, and then take the old ones and do the same and see what difference it is with the vernier.